Alright, let me take you back to a night that flipped a small town's smug little world upside down. Picture this, a high school reunion, 5 years after graduation, where the so-called cool kids thought they'd drag in the guy they used to call a nobody, just to have a laugh. That guy? Jamal Carter, the quiet kid who never quite fit in, walking into that glitzy banquet hall in worn-out kicks and a hoodie that had seen better days, ready to face a room full of old grudges and fake smiles. Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us. Keeps the stories coming. Stick around till the end, because this one's gonna hit you right in the feels, and when it does, drop your thoughts in the comments, share it with a friend. Let's dive in. It all started with an envelope, one of those fancy ones with embossed gold lettering, sitting under a stack of bills on Jamal's cluttered kitchen counter in his tiny apartment in Oak Ridge, a sleepy town just outside Portland. The handwriting was neat, too neat, like someone was trying way too hard to look classy. Class of 2020 reunion, Willow Creek Academy, you're invited. Jamal, now 23, ran his thumb over the paper, feeling the weight of it, the memories it dragged up. High school wasn't exactly his glory days. Willow Creek was one of those private schools where money talked louder than brains, and Jamal, the only black kid in a sea of preppy blazers, was always on the outside looking in. He was smart, top of the class. Teachers loved him, but that didn't stop the whispers. Nerd. Weirdo. He'll never make it. Kids like Ethan Reed, with his lacrosse swagger, or Lauren Tate, with her perfect smile and sharper tongue, made sure he felt it every day. They'd snicker when he walked by, books clutched tight like armor, his shoulders hunched against their words. Jamal could have tossed that invite straight into the trash. Part of him wanted to. But as he stood there, staring at the envelope, a small smile crept across his face. 5 years. 5 years of grinding in the shadows, of late nights hunched over a laptop in a dim room, of ideas nobody believed in until they did. 5 years, and now Jamal Carter wasn't just some kid they laughed at. He was the founder of Nexus Labs, a tech startup that had just closed a $50 million funding round, a name starting to pop up in places like TechCrunch and Forbes. Nobody in Oak Ridge knew, though. He'd kept it quiet, stayed low-key, still living in that same rundown apartment, still wearing the same scuffed sneakers. He liked it that way. Let them think he was still the loser. Let them invite him to their little reunion to play their little games. Jamal slipped the envelope into his pocket, took a deep breath, and thought, this ain't just a reunion. This is my stage. The night of the reunion, rain was coming down in sheets, soaking Jamal's hoodie as he stepped into the Willow Creek banquet hall. The place smelled like expensive cologne and money, all polished wood and gold balloons floating over a table stacked with name tags. He pinned his on Jamal Carter, written in that same fake fancy script, and felt the room shift, just a little. Heads turned, not dramatic, more like a ripple moving through the crowd, from the open bar to the photo booth in the corner. A beat of silence, then the chatter kicked back up, laced with smirks. Yo, is that him? A voice hissed from behind a pillar. Same old Jamal. Man, look at that hoodie. Another laughed, low and mean. Bet he's still living in his mom's basement. Jamal kept moving, his steps soft on the thick carpet, eyes scanning the room like he was reading code, picking up signals. The stage up front had a projector flashing old high school photos, Ethan in his lacrosse gear, Lauren cutting a ribbon at some charity event, the golden kids in their golden moments. The MC, Ethan himself, was working the mic like he owned the place, all slick cufflinks and tighter jaw. Reunited and richer, am I right? He called out, grinning as the room laughed. Jamal slid into a seat at a table near the back, half hidden in shadow, perfect view of the whole circus. He set down a glass of water, watched the condensation pool under it, and waited. Lauren floated by first, her diamond earrings catching the light, her smile all teeth and no warmth. Jamal, wow, you look retro, she said, her voice dripping with something that wasn't quite kindness. She didn't stick around for a reply, just drifted off to the bar where Ethan was trying to pay for drinks with a card that kept getting declined. The bartender tilted the screen away, polite but firm, and Ethan's face flushed as he fumbled for another card. Market's tough, he muttered to no one, tugging at his blazer like it could hide the embarrassment. Nearby, a couple of guys filled the silence. Heard Ethan's startup crashed again, one whispered. Yeah, investors bailed. Brutal. The slideshow kept rolling, showing off everyone's so-called glow-ups lawyers, influencers, a yoga studio opening. When Jamal's slide came up, it was just a gray square. Photo not provided. Ethan leaned into the mic, smirking. Guess some stories don't upload, huh? The room laughed, sharp and quick, like a blade. Jamal sipped his water, wiped the damp ring on the table with his sleeve, slow and deliberate. He felt the bass of their laughter in his chest, the chatter brushing his skin like static. Behind him, two girls whispered, too loud, too careless. Who even invited him? One said. Ethan said it'd be funny, you know, full circle vibes. Savage, the other giggled. It's just a joke, chill. The night dragged on, the room buzzing with fake cheer. Ethan kept pushing the mic, calling out awards dumb stuff like best glow up, most likely to post a yacht pic. Each one got a gold-bordered certificate, each one another chance to flex. But the laughs were getting thinner, the jokes wobblier, like a tower ready to tip. Then Ethan held up one last envelope, grinning like he was about to land the punchline of the night. Honorable mention, he said, pausing for effect. Most likely to. Still be different. He looked right at Jamal. Yo, Carter, you out there? The room turned, eyes locking on him. Someone coughed, the kind that cuts. Jamal didn't flinch. He just leaned back, let the silence stretch, then gave a small nod. Thanks, he said, voice low, steady, like he was letting them off easy. The mic moved on, but the gossip didn't. Why'd he even show up? Someone muttered. Content, probably, another laughed. Every reunion needs a punching bag. But Jamal just sat there, still as a storm's eye, folding his napkin into perfect little squares, patient, waiting. The music thumped, the shrimp skewers dwindled, and the room kept spinning its shallow little web. Ethan was mid-story about some game-changing app when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, eyes flickering, then shoved it face down. The screen had flashed final notice in red. At the bar, Lauren tossed a shrimp tail into her glass, her laugh a little too loud. Whispers kept circling Jamal. Bet he took the bus here. Those shoes, man, they're ancient. Each jab landed, cold and sharp, but he didn't budge. He just wiped another condensation ring, slow, methodical, like he was biding his time. Then Ethan took the stage again, all fake charisma, ready to wrap the night. Big shout out to our sponsor, y'all, he said, waving at the balloons, the catered spread. None of this would have happened without a generous donation from. He flipped through his cue cards, then stopped. The last one was blank. His grin faltered. Summit Events, who've asked to stay anonymous. Let's give it up anyway. The room clapped, half-hearted, a few whistles. And that's when Jamal stood. The scrape of his chair cut through the DJ's beat. Heads turned, slow at first, then fast. He walked to the stage, unhurried, his sneakers quiet on the tile. Ethan's smile twitched as Jamal climbed the steps, standing there, not grabbing the mic, just adjusting his sleeve, letting the silence grow heavy. The glasses stopped clinking. The whispers died. Then Jamal spoke, his voice low, clear, like a signal cutting through noise. I want to thank y'all for coming, he said, eyes sweeping the room, calm, steady, like he was seeing every face for the first time. And I want to thank Summit Events. Which, by the way, is just me. The room froze. A half-laugh choked out, then sputtered. Wait, what? Someone muttered near the bar. Jamal pulled out his phone, tapped once. The projector flickered, the slideshow gone, replaced by headlines. Nexus Labs secures $50 million in Series B funding. The quiet genius behind AI's next wave. A Forbes cover flashed Jamal, older, sharper, in a suit, but unmistakably him. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That's him, a girl whispered too loud. No way, that's fake, another stammered. But the headlines kept rolling, fact after fact. Estimated net worth, $20 million. The silence that followed wasn't like before. It wasn't cruel or mocking. It was heavy, thick, the kind that makes your throat tighten, your palms sweat. Jamal slipped his phone back into his pocket, the screen still glowing with that Forbes cover. He looked out at the faces that used to laugh at him in the hallways, the ones that called him weird, a nobody. His voice softened, like he was sharing a secret. So when you ask what I'm up to? Something like this. He paused, letting it sink in. You laughed because you thought I'd never be anything. But what you called weird was just me seeing further than you. What you called failure was me building, step by step. And what you laughed at? He nodded at the screen, at the balloons, at the whole damn night. That's the reason you're standing in a hall I paid for. The room didn't move. Ethan, still gripping the mic, looked like he'd been punched, his grin gone, his face pale. Lauren's champagne glass wobbled, the bubbles too loud in the quiet. Phones lit up as people Googled, their screens confirming every word. Nexus Labs. Jamal Carter. $50 million. The arrogance in the room collapsed like a house of cards. Eyes that used to roll now couldn't meet his. Mouths that sneered now stayed shut. At the edge of the crowd, two guys whispered, forgetting how sound carries. Why'd we laugh? One said, voice cracking. Because we thought he'd never make it. The other shook his head. And now he's everything we're not. Jamal stepped closer to the edge of the stage, his shadow stretching across the floor. His voice stayed steady. No anger, no gloating, just truth. The difference between us isn't luck, he said. It's what we believed about ourselves. And what you chose to believe about me. He let that land, let the silence press down on them, heavy as their own regrets. Then he gave a small nod, turned, and walked off the stage, past the stunned faces, past the gold balloons, past the life they thought they'd trapped him in. No one stopped him. No one could. The laughter that used to chase him was gone, replaced by a mirror they couldn't look away from. Outside, the rain had stopped. The night air hit his skin, cool and sharp, washing away the weight of the hall. Jamal walked to his car beat-up sedan, not some flashy ride, because he didn't need to prove anything anymore. He'd walked into their game and flipped the board. The kid they called a loser wasn't just winning, rewritten the rules. So, let me ask you this. If you were Jamal, standing in a room full of people who'd spent years tearing you down, would you have taken that stage and shown them who you really are? Or would you have walked away, let them keep their illusions? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's justice look like to you? Is it speaking your truth, or is it letting their own shame catch up with them? Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and hit that subscribe button for more stories that turn the tables on arrogance. Let's keep the conversation going.